Right. I'm like, running short. Like, Brad, what do you do tomorrow? I think it's together. We're, it's a relative of his. They're somehow connected, and I think he might have even lived there one time.
I'd like to call to order meeting of Corning City Council. It is Monday, August 18th of 2025. Invite everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a brief prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege and the opportunity to serve you and to serve the city. We ask for your wisdom and guidance on the decisions before us this evening. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Rhonda, can I roll call, please?
Jim Bradley.
Here.
Kathy Fleischer.
Here.
Dick McLean.
Here.
Don Moore.
Here.
John McCurry.
Here.
Scott Rowley.
Here.
Kevin Pyros.
Here. May I have a motion for the approval of minutes from the August 4th, 2025 council meeting?
So moved. Second.
Any corrections? Hearing none, Rhonda, can I roll call, please?
Kathy Fleischer.
Yes.
Dick McLean.
Yes.
Don Moore.
Yes.
John McCurry.
Yes.
Scott Rowley.
Yes.
Jim Bradley.
Abstain.
Kevin Pyros.
Yes. May I have a motion for the approval of schedule of bills to be paid totaling $258,836.05.
So moved. Second.
Any questions? Rhonda, can I roll call?
Dick McLean.
Yes.
Don Moore.
Yes.
John McCurry.
Yes.
Scott Rowley.
Yes.
Jim Bradley.
Yes.
Kathy Fleischer.
I'm going to abstain. There's a bill in here from my boyfriend's company, even though I don't need to abstain for it.
And Kevin Pyros.
Yes. Okay, next, may I have a motion for the approval of the bank reconciliation ending July 31st, 2025?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Rhonda, can I roll call, please?
Don Moore.
Yes.
John McCurry.
Yes.
Scott Rowley.
Yes.
Jim Bradley.
Yes.
Kathy Fleischer.
Yes.
Dick McLean.
Yes.
Kevin Pyros.
Yes. Okay, we have no old business, so we'll move on to new business. First up is Resolution R-36-25. A resolution authorizing the clerk of council to advertise a public hearing to consider a zone change request for replat of lot 108-A and 110-A of Walnut Run Estates, Phase 3, from S1 Service District to R12 Residential District. This is submitted by the Planning, Zoning, and Building Commission. May I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Any questions? Rhonda, can I have roll call, please?
Scott Rowley.
Yes.
Jim Bradley.
Yes.
Kathy Fleischer.
Yes.
Dick McLean.
Yes.
Don Moore.
Yes.
John McCurry.
Yes.
Kevin Pyros.
Yes. Okay, next is Resolution R-37-25. A resolution declaring the official intent and reasonable expectation of the City of Cortland on behalf of the State of Ohio, the borrower, to reimburse its general fund for the West Main Street Water Main Replacement Project, CF11AA, with the proceeds of tax exempt debt of the State of Ohio. This is submitted by the Finance Director. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Yeah, this is needed so that the city can be reimbursed from OPWC for the project down there.
Any questions? Rhonda, can I roll call, please?
Jim Bradley.
Yes.
Kathy Fleischer.
Yes.
Dick McLean.
Yes.
Don Moore.
Yes.
John McCurry.
Yes.
Scott Rowley.
Yes.
Kevin Pyros.
Yes. Next is Ordinance O-42-25. An ordinance authorizing the payment of fees to and an agreement with the Trumbull County Commissioners for the legal defense of indigents. This is the first reading submitted by the mayor. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Any questions?
Patty, I noticed this is like covering 2 years or 2.5. Is that,
Yeah.
was it overlooked last year?
Last year we weren't billed for it,
Okay,
so,
so they caught up.
It's more them catching up,
Yeah.
not us overlooking
yeah.
the term.
Yeah, not an overlook, you're right, yeah.
I think I read in the paper that like a lot of communities aren't even paying or
Any other questions? Okay, Rhonda, can I roll call, please?
Kathy Fleischer.
Yes.
Dick McLean.
Yes.
Don Moore.
Yes.
John Burcheri.
Yes.
Scott Riley.
Yes.
Jim Bradley.
Yes.
Kevin Pyro.
Yes. Next is ordinance O-43-25, an ordinance amending ordinance O-02-25, authorizing the city to pay for spay and neuter services of feral cats trapped within the city of Cortland. This is an emergency submitted by the mayor. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
May I have a motion on the emergency, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Rhonda, can I have a roll call on the emergency, please?
Don Moore.
Yes.
John Burcheri.
Yes.
Scott Riley.
Yes.
Jim Bradley.
Yes.
Kathy Fleischer.
Yes.
Dick McLean.
Yes.
Kevin Pyro.
Yes. And now, a roll call on the ordinance, please.
Dick McLean.
Yes.
Don Moore.
Yes.
John Burcheri.
Yes.
Scott Riley.
Yes.
Jim Bradley.
Yes.
Kathy Fleischer.
Yes.
Kevin Pyro.
Yes. The next is ordinance O-44-25, an ordinance to extend project funding for the West Main Street Water Line Replacement Project with PK Excavating. This is an emergency submitted by the interim service director. May I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
May I have a motion on the emergency, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? None. Rhonda, can I have a roll call on the emergency, please?
Scott Riley.
Yes.
Jim Bradley.
Yes.
Kathy Fleischer.
Yes.
Dick McLean.
Yes.
Don Moore.
Yes.
John Burcheri.
Yes.
Kevin Pyro.
Yes. And now a roll call on the ordinance, please.
John Burcheri.
Yes.
Scott Riley.
Yes.
Jim Bradley.
Yes.
Kathy Fleischer.
Yes.
Dick McLean.
Yes.
Don Moore.
Yes.
Kevin Pyro.
Yes. Okay, I would like to, make a motion to table the following item off the agenda, since the mayor is unable to be here this evening. I know, many of us have questions on the content of this, ordinance, and I think it's only fair that we have ample time to ask those questions, of the mayor. And since she is not here, it wouldn't be fair for us to take action on anything where we have outstanding questions. So I'd like to make a motion to table this.
Second.
May I have Rhonda, can I have a roll call on the tabling of this ordinance, please?
Jim Bradley.
Yes.
Kathy Fleischer.
Yes.
Dick McLean.
Yes.
Don Moore.
Yes.
John Burcheri.
Yes.
Scott Riley.
Yes.
Kevin Pyro.
Yes. Okay, that concludes our new business. We're gonna move on to our reports. I don't have anything on behalf of the service department. Anybody else has anything? Finance department, Pat?
Stay right here if that's okay, 'cause it's full. You do have my report, I have nothing else to add to it, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions of the finance department? Thank you, Patty. Chief Morris, police department.
I have nothing to offer, but I will answer questions you might have.
Fire department, Captain Price.
We got reimbursement back from, Ohio Jobs and Family Services for the paramedic that they paid for, last year, and we have another paramedic in the pipeline for that, under the same grant, who started in the last couple of weeks. So we'll be optimistic if, when she finishes. Reports are in, if you have any questions, I'm happy to entertain.
Any questions? Thank you, Captain. I have nothing on behalf of the mayor this evening, no report from the mayor. Do I have any committee reports this evening? Any announcements from council? All right, I'm assuming somebody here has questions.
Yep.
All right, now, I am gonna ask, we're gonna try to, a little bit more decorum than last week, we got a little bit carried away, I let things go a little free, but we're gonna make sure that we keep everything professional. I need a name and address, and then you're on.
Rita Dodd, 242 Fowler Street, Portland. First, I want to thank Chief Morris for the signs you put up for my son, greatly appreciate it. Hopefully, we slow down traffic so he can get in and off on the van for him to attend the day program. Second, where's the mayor?
He's unavailable.
Emergency, out of town, saving the world.
I just, was informed the mayor had obligations.
We're
and she
service
was
director.
unable to attend tonight.
Stay together?
I, I wouldn't think so, I don't think so.
They got wind that the media is coming. This was a big thing that was put on the agenda for tonight.
And without answers, we removed it
I mean,
from
if there
the
was
agenda.
emergency in the family, definitely understand, but, I mean, if there wasn't,
Well, her husband's here.
if the husband's here, then I'm assuming it was an emergency in the family.
Well, all I can say is that the mayor isn't here, and we have questions about the ordinance, just like many of you. And without those questions, it's not fair to be brought to the table. So
I definitely understand and I agree, but I'm sure the question's gonna be raised. All I got to say is this process is going to be repeated for the next meeting, so unless she plans on missing every single meeting, it's gonna happen again.
And you're all welcome to come to meetings. So, yeah, I mean, we didn't feel that it was warranted, discussion tonight without being able to answer questions. So that's why I tabled it tonight, because it wouldn't be fair to undertake an ordinance without questions being able to be raised.
So I'm just saying, you're not facing it tonight because the media's here and we're all here. It's gonna happen again for the next meeting.
I think that's a good thing, so I don't look at that as a threat.
No,
I think that's, No,
believe me, I'm not threatening. I'm just giving a
I'm not
heads up.
saying you are,
It's
but I'm
still
saying
gonna
that-
happen again for
I
the next
understand.
meeting.
I'm saying that that's a great thing. For years and years, we had very little participation in these meetings, so to have a full room is fantastic.
except when it was card for government class.
There you go. But, so that's great, I hope people continue to come.
Mr. McCain.
It's nice to be known. Sometimes, Michael Matheny, 352 Old Oak Drive, Portland. Question for each, and I would like an answer from each of you, please, I request that. Do you guys know who owns the LLC in question? Do you? Are you aware of who owns it?
Yeah, it's in
We all know
contract.
that.
Who owns it? I own CMZ Chimney LLC. That, I own that. So if I ask the question of you, do you know who owns CMZ Chimney LLC? You would say, yes, I do. The gentleman's name is Mike Matheny, if you'd like to call me a gentleman. Thank you. But, so, my question is, who owns that LLC that the mayor wants to enter into a contract with and pay money to? Who owns it?
Sean Redick.
Thank you. Do you know? You know?
I did not know.
Thank you for your honesty. I appreciate that, and now you do.
Yes.
Yes? 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 Yes?
Well, I don't know if he's the only owner, but I know he's a owner.
Okay. All right. So, anybody think that that's appropriate? And we have entered, or not we, but as council and as the city of Cortland, we've entered into agreements with him in the past. Am I wrong in stating that? And if I'm wrong, I apologize, but,
You're correct.
No, it's public record, yeah.
oh, okay. Okay, good enough. I'd like to ask a question, and since he's here, of the mayor's husband. Before the.
These are only questions, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, sir, but these are only questions
All
for
right, good enough.
council.
So I've got a question.
It's not appropriate.
Good enough. I'll ask him later.
Yep.
And it would be a question for Mr. Radican, since the two were involved together that particular day. So it will be a question asked of Mr. Radican, and I'm extremely disappointed that the mayor and Mr. Radican aren't here. You know what, I'm gonna save one for you, Mr. Wilson. I'm gonna save one for you. Next.
All right.
Somebody else? Oh, my spot.
Almost didn't, get in.
I wanna make sure everybody else has their opportunity to
Sure.
speak. I wanna address two issues. Jerry Davis.
Address.
Everybody knows me, 101 Leckrone Way. My house gets blown up. Yeah, as stated, it's unfortunate, the mayor and, her guy decided not to show up tonight. Controversial legislation on, she put it on, and then she doesn't show up to address it. Kinda sticks everybody with, yeah, tabling it, just kick it down the road. As much as I've heard I'm elected to do this in the city, and what I was elected to do, she was elected to show up and explain her legislation and answer to the community. For some reason tonight that didn't happen. So, part of what I want to address is written to be addressed to her. I'm going to address it to all you and address it to the public, okay? Two issues. The first issue, last meeting, clarification, something the mayor stated at the last meeting. Ms. Dodd, don't know who you are other than the last meeting, speaking about the money used to purchase the school building and how residents in the city, especially elderly, are worried about the real estate taxes and losing their home because they can't afford to pay them. Mayor Petrosky stated this isn't property tax money. Dodd stated funds could be used to help our police and fire departments. Petrosky replied they cannot. She went on to state, you don't understand, this city operates on levies for the police department, levies for the fire department. I agree with that. It's always been a good practice that those departments operate on levies. But I would like to question the finance director. Where you at? Right there? Okay. Couple questions. Patty, what, can you tell us all, because it didn't come out last time, what are the sources of the general fund money? Just some of the sources of general fund money.
Inside millage, outside millage, local government funds, interest, liquor permit, cigarette tax, capital franchise fees.
Are there any levies?
Yeah, there's a voted levy, yeah, there's.
So there is a voted levy on it, so, that is taxpayer money. Can you tell me the average balance in the general fund money throughout the year?
I'm going to say between $800 and $1 million.
So average through the year, we're floating $800 to $1 million. Okay. The budget for the year is what, $2 million?
The general fund?
Yeah.
A little over $2 million.
What's the total budget for the entire city? 15 million?
Yep.
Okay. I don't think taxpayers really know how much money we deal with in the city. Can you tell me how much is in the general fund at the moment?
I just did the report. I'm gonna say anywhere between $750,000 and $800,000.
Okay. We get an interest on the money?
Yeah.
Do you know how much per month? Dollar amount?
I just did my report, and I'm gonna say it was probably about $29,000.
$30,000 a month in interest, if it sits there. How much is anticipated to be in the general fund at the end of the year?
I hope to have a $1 million carryover.
Okay. This is the fund that the mayor's using to buy a school building, buy a parking lot, play with this and that, whatever, correct? It's kind of our slush fund.
The new building, or not the new building, but the building that we are purchasing, the ordinance had it coming out of the general fund, yes.
General fund. Okay. At the beginning of every year, police department seems to run short, waiting for the tax money to come in, right? You do an advance from the general fund to the police department funds to cover their bills, correct?
Correct.
So you actually transfer money from the general fund to the police department funds.
And then it's paid back.
And it's paid back, but
Yes.
you have the ability to transfer.
Yes, it's
Okay.
paid back.
Council passes an ordinance to do that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Beginning
Council
of-
pass an ordinance to pay it back?
No, it's a
It
repayment.
just goes back? Okay. So now I want to ask you, what can the general fund money be used for?
General fund money legally can be used for any city purpose.
Anything?
Yes.
Anything we want to use it for?
Mhm.
So if the police department's short $200,000, we can transfer $200,000, cover their bills, not expect a repayment, we can just give it to them, right?
As long as council approves.
Council has to
I
approve
have,
it.
yes, everything
Fire
has to be
department,
approved through
service
council.
department's funded partly through the general fund, but if they're short, in other words, if we don't pass a levy, the city can't come to us and threaten us that our police services are gonna get cut, our officers are gonna get laid off, their cars aren't gonna get fixed, our calls aren't gonna get answered, because the city has $1 million
budget is approved by council.
Okay, but the mayor said those funds could not be used for the police department, right?
That was in the last statement.
That was in the last meeting.
Correct.
And they
Yeah.
can be.
Could not be used. Yes, they can. That was a lie. That was a misstatement. Everybody in council should know that. The mayor should know that. He's been in office for how long? The public needs to know that. Okay? Our city services do not stop if a levy doesn't pass. And I'm not here to promote or not promote a levy. It's just a point. The city doesn't stop. We have money coming in to utilize, provided we don't spend it on other stuff. Okay? So, that clarifies that. My second issue does have to do with the interim service director. This is lengthy. I'd like it in the record so that the 7,000 people that live in this city have the ability to understand the facts and the history of what has transpired here. Okay? So if I can have that latitude, I'd appreciate it. January 22nd, 2025, and I'm going to cite off a lot of ordinances, guys. You're going to get confused. It's going to be hard to follow. I can go back and reiterate it, but I have the documentation and the timelines here. Okay? January 22nd, 2025, the mayor presented ordinance 0425 to council in emergency, hiring Sean Radican to serve as interim service director as an independent contractor for almost 5 months until permanent service director could be hired. Keep that in mind. It was actually about 4.5 months, but Radican will work in office and remotely and be paid $8,668 monthly, equivalent to an annual fee of $104,000. There's no mention in the ordinance of full-time, part-time, no time, or any time. Our previous service director was paid $70,000 plus benefits and worked every day in the city building. Why council would approve, and I'm not here to knock you guys, but why council would approve an equivalent $30,000 a year increase to a contractor to work primarily remotely, whatever that means, is beyond comprehension. Okay? I'm going to make my statements. The fact that he's not here to answer to it, it's his problem. This is factual. The ordinance also states the mayor has reviewed and approved Radican's qualifications. Well, it became blatantly apparent at the last meeting that the mayor did not know what Radican's qualifications were. Thus, the statement in the ordinance as presented to council to base their vote on was false. The mayor reviewed and approved Radican's qualifications. During this almost 5-month period, the city was to come up with requirements of the service director's position. Again, I mean, in the time I've lived here, we've had 3 service directors. It should already be in black and white. I don't know why we had to reinvent the wheel. Maybe we had to modify it a little bit, but it shouldn't have taken an hour. For some reason, it took weeks.
There would be, some of these items we could probably offer information for, other than if things took place in an executive session.
Well, still, I mean, we've had a service director, we've had requirements, so forth. I mean, I think way back, we had requirements of a professional engineer, civil engineer, something, so forth. So, I mean, that's pretty much a given. And they were to advertise. And as we learned at the last meeting, when asked, the mayor stated, I have not done any interviews. We have tons of resumes.
And, let me stop you there, Jerry. Interviews have been conducted
By the mayor,
by the mayor.
not by you guys. Okay.
Since the last meeting.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So as of May, well, I mean, we all.
Interviews have been conducted.
All right, she conducted interviews today, and we all know
Damage
that,
control.
they all know that she was gonna
All right.
conduct, hang on.
Okay.
Let's keep
Give
Jerry-
Jerry his time,
Jerry's-
everyone.
We all,
You interrupted.
One person at a time.
we all know she was gonna do interviews because she made a public announcement on social media that these are my 3 guys. How inappropriate, not interviewing anybody, to turn around and tag 3 candidates and tell everybody else, you lose.
Those candidates,
What?
we reviewed all candidates, and each council member independently ranked their top 4, provided
For her to
those.
do that? Is that true?
I need to make
Top
one
3.
statement there. I did not submit my top 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 at all. I chose not to do that. I chose, not to be part of that. It was the mayor's responsibility, and part of her scope is to lead the job search, really, and find a service director, I chose not to submit, anyone, any type of order, so that, because I didn't feel like it was appropriate, it's not within my scope to.
You weren't here the last meeting.
Correct.
Where I discussed that it should, okay. Anybody else not submit? Everybody?
Did council review every applicant or
Yes.
just a,
Yes. We
Okay.
have
which was
multiple.
how many?
15, 20. It wasn't a ton, but 15 to 20.
Okay. Was that done prior, all that notification was done prior to that social media release?
Yes, but
Yes. That was what we were challenged to do after the meeting on,
But I had heard nothing else since then. I didn't know there was any interviews conducted.
Nobody knew that.
I didn't
No.
know, I don't know if
Post was
she
gonna
let
come out.
anybody know before the
okay.
press release.
Yeah, we promised within 3 days after the last meeting that we would review and submit our top. So, independent, so nobody was influencing either. So
Okay.
it's really independent.
All right, so we'll see how that comes out, and I hope, Mr. Bradley, you sit and review the resumes and.
I've already
and
reviewed
the candidates.
all the resumes. I've reviewed all resumes. I have an Excel sheet where I log them, I categorize them, I have all of my notes. I just chose not to submit them by the submittal date.
Okay.
I chose for that to be the mayor's scope.
So, yeah, we submitted
again-
by Thursday of that week.
Okay, so you have these candidates, I hope in the end, before you vote on any of them, that you personally interview them. I think that's necessary, you represent the taxpayers.
Yeah, maybe
I
multiple
mean-
interviews. I've said this a couple times for sure within meetings and also in emails and different types of communication, that just because the city has a few people to interview, that doesn't mean that, in my point of view, in my opinion, that doesn't mean that that automatically says one of these 3, 4, or 5 are going to be hired. This is a very important hire, in my opinion. It's one of the most important positions in the city, and it's a 6-figure salary to where I feel we should hire the right person and not just make the quickest hire. So,
And add to that, somebody could look really good on paper
100%.
and not on person.
yeah, you might need to have multiple interviews.
And
You
there
might find,
was a records request for those resumes.
I requested, I
And
didn't
you,
get it. I didn't get it.
I didn't either.
Did your records request ask for the date that they were submitted also?
No, all resumes pertaining to the position.
And the date they were submitted?
I didn't ask for the date they were submitted.
You might want to.
Well, we're gonna see where we go now. So, okay, so all that's on the record. As May 31st approaches, back to this original appointment, May 19th was a council meeting, ordinance 2625 gets presented to council. Again, it's in an emergency, hiring Sean Radigan as the city service director, continuing as an independent contractor who will work in the city hall and remotely and be paid $9,580 monthly or an equivalent $115,000. That's $45,000 more than the previous service director. But, as the argument was made last week by the mayor, it doesn't include benefits. Contractors don't get benefits. If you're an independent contractor, you get a fee, whatever your fee is. You don't get benefits. If you want benefits, you are an employee. You don't pay somebody for benefits they would have gotten if they were an employee. That's not how it works. Additionally, the ordinance specifically states that Radican comes to the city with a certain set of skills that will allow him to continue operating the service department. I didn't see it in the minutes. I don't think anybody asked what those skills were. Or we knew. Prior to that, he did some consulting. So what are those skills? The minimum qualifications as advertised in your new job posting: graduation from a 4-year college with major coursework in engineering or related fields, water license but not required, 10 years increasingly responsible experience as planning, consulting, or assistant engineer with a government agency. Then there's a disclaimer. I'm not real happy about this. You put a disclaimer in there: any combination of experience would suffice. I don't think that's, we need a professional engineer, we need a civil engineer. I don't think we can go dig ditches and have that count as experience. Nonetheless, I think we could have done a better job on the requirements for the job. We need somebody that can do the engineering specs for plans and so forth, so we don't have to constantly hire engineering firms. Otherwise, you're paying a lot of money for a position, $100,000 for a service director to sit here, and we're spending money for engineering firms to do our engineering. That should come out of the service director. Otherwise, we have a $50,000 manager or something. We don't have a service director. Radican's resume lists his education as Doctor of Philosophy in Leadership Studies, Master's in Public Administration, Bachelor of Arts in Community Studies. Yes, he has some experience in running another government agency. He has to go to Port Authority, but he abruptly resigned that position for some reason to go be a professor at Kent State University. I don't think his education falls under any of the aspects of the requirement to be a service director. The mayor reviewed his qualifications, I think. Radican has no education related to engineering, let alone civil or professional engineering, no qualification to redesign, design, or draft street paving qualifications, engineering plans, sewer and water plans, and I can't see where he has any qualifications to review and make recommendations about municipal zoning laws. Thus, why all of this continually has to be contracted out. What he is qualified to be is the mayor, or city manager. Just a note, I did look around a couple other municipalities, but this was kind of interesting. Niles has an experienced degree engineer as their service director. He runs 3 municipal utilities, water, electric, they got their own electric plant, sewer, in a city of 18,000 people, and his salary is $90,000 a year. I don't know why we're paying somebody over 100 when we have 7,000 people and 1 utility. Unless somebody can come and take all of our contracted engineering stuff on and do it their own and save us that money that we're paying for outside engineers. That's something for you to think about.
Gary, I will mention that, there was a salary range provided.
Yeah, there was a range, but
It was below the 90. I thought it was 75 to 100.
80 to 1, maybe 80 to 115, okay. The number that keeps coming out here though is 6 figures, 100,000. And as you'll find, that's what we've been paying as I go through here.
And the range would have been commensurate based on what their qualifications were.
And again, people that are watching, let's see what the salary range and commensurate and who's
One
proposed
clarification,
here.
Patty, the prior service director, the salary was 70-something.
70-something, yeah.
With benefits, what did that go to?
With benefits of PRs and health, about 130, 140,000.
Exactly. But you don't pay a contractor the equivalent of benefits. If you want benefits, you're an employee. I'm self-employed. I don't have benefits. I don't take and bill my clients, hey, these are the benefits I could have had if the city of Cortland would have hired me. It's the way it goes. I mean, being a government employee is people don't understand that. Being a government employee is usually pretty lucrative. Hey, I make 50 grand, but I got 100, I got another 50 over here in benefits, 25 in health insurance, life insurance, paid for retirement. I pay for my retirement, I pay for my health insurance, I pay for everything. Okay, there's a difference. So council votes down this ordinance, but yet as we stand here today, and as was discussed in great length last meeting, Radican is still the interim service director and was stated several times his current contract ends August 31st. So I started to think and ask some questions, and I couldn't find another ordinance, let alone one voted on by council, that currently supports Radican's current status with the city as interim service director. So how did we get here? And to understand how we got here, we actually have to go back to the beginning a few years when Jeffrey Jing was first hired by the city as a part-time employee. So around May 2022, it appears Jing was hired under Ordinance 0922 as a seasonal part-time employee at a rate of $9.30 an hour. No big deal. The stuff he was going to do seemed to be worthwhile. Then in September 6th, 2022, 4 months later, there's that 4 months again. Council approves Ordinance 04522 continuing Jing's employment under a newly created position called Special Projects Coordinator at a rate of $15.30 for 30 hours per week for 1 year. So that's a contract for 1 year. It's now $24,000 that he's going to get. It is 30 hours a week, so he doesn't have the benefits. So I couldn't find any resolution. So all these jobs that were created, associate service director, all this stuff, you create a job by resolution, you take a job away, or a position away by resolution. There was no resolution creating special projects coordinator. During this time, I understand Jing is going to school at Kent State University, where he meets Sean Radigan, a professor teaching one of his classes. April 3rd, 2023, handful of months after Jing is hired into a special position, which included a $6 pay raise, so we went from 9:30 to 15:30. Council's presented with ordinance 1423, an emergency, again, which authorized the mayor to enter into an agreement with Lakeshore Strategic Consulting LLC to review and amend and update the city's zoning ordinances and to provide economic development assistance. This contract for $40,000 to review zoning ordinances. Up to this point, sounds legit, right? The ordinance states that this is for improving the appearance of the downtown. The mayor is recommending that improvements begin with the downtown. Most importantly, the mayor researched various consultants across the country, across the state of Ohio, and those in Northeast Ohio received quotes from 3 consulting companies. Guess when Lakeshore Strategic Consulting came into existence? Anybody know?
2 months before that.
February 8th, 2023, just 2 months prior to ordinance 14-23. Prior to that, there was no Lakeshore Consulting. Lakeshore Consulting is Jing professor Sean Radigan. Radigan and Lakeshore are one and the same. There are no employees, there's no office, there's no history to show any prior work providing consulting services. I don't know how we searched across the country, across the state, and just somehow found Jing's professor as the best qualified candidate with no history in consulting. He's a philosophy professor at Kansas State.
What was he hired to do? What was the contract to do?
Remember, we're gonna do,
Let me-
we're gonna do one
I will
person at a time.
answer, let me
Thank
go.
you.
Do you think the council knew Lakeshore Strategic Consulting was? No, you guys didn't know who he was. And coincidentally, Radigan / Lakeshore just happens to be the absolute best choice found out of the searching across the country in the state of Ohio. I did ask for, in a public records request last week, the documentation that proved or supported a search across the country and across the state, and I did not get anything. So I don't think there's anything sketchy about that. No inside information, no strings being pulled to get Jing's buddy, Professor Radigan's feet in the city. Hurry up, form a consulting company, and my buddy Jing will get me in with the city of Cortland. Actually, he was probably, and I'm surmising, he was probably already in the city. Okay? This was set up ahead of time. All he had to do was get his ducks in a row in order for the mayor to present what would appear to be a legitimate ordinance. And I really gotta ask, when did the mayor really meet Sean Radigan? Okay? For everybody's knowledge, an LLC, XYZ Consulting Company, whatever it is, you're an LLC, you're a sole proprietor. You work for yourself, okay? There's no company, there's no employees, there's no office, there's no building, okay? I'm a sole proprietor in my profession. I am also an LLC. The business is me, myself, and I. When you hire me, you hire my company. There is nobody else. It's kind of a, you know, if you don't know, you said you didn't know who he was.
Can I correct
Prior.
that? That's not true. I did know that, but I thought we were referring to some other organization.
Okay.
But I wanted to
All right.
tell Mike that after the meeting, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
So when you refer to, you know, Mike Matheny has a company, he has employees, he has a business, and so forth. Okay, when you don't have employees and so forth, I mean, an LLC sole proprietor is a disregarded entity from the standpoint of IRS. They don't recognize LLCs. LLCs is a state law only to protect from liability standpoint. So when you say XYZ company or so-and-so the person, in this instance, they are one and the same. August 21, 2023. Now we go back to Jing. We move forward 1 year later. Jing's contract, which is due to expire on August 31st. Council has a meeting on August 21st. Council's presented with ordinance 4423, presented as an emergency again, extending Jing's employment for, guess what? 4 more months. 3 through the end of the year. Now at a rate of $15.77 an hour, 30 hours a week, Jim gets a 47-cent raise. Total cost of this contract now $7,600. January 2nd, 2024, 4 years later, or 4 months later, as this contract expires, January 2nd, 2024, council passes ordinance 6423, which again extends Jing's employment contract for, guess what?
4 months.
Anybody would guess, 4 more months. Okay? Still at a rate of $15.77 an hour, 30 hours a week, but now the contract gives Jing an extra $40 a month for the use of his cell phone. And with cell phones nowadays, for the longest that I can remember, I can use my phone till infinity and it doesn't cost me an extra dime. So, just think. Police chief.
Yeah.
You guys get your phones reimbursed?
We have city issued.
You have city issued phones?
Use our own.
Use your own, you get reimbursed? Wouldn't you like your phones reimbursed $40 a month? I asked the service department, but nobody here. How about, Patty?
I have a city issue phone.
City,
That's my
use your,
first-
you get $40 extra a month?
No.
Or, talk about that. Anybody else? Who else? Anybody, nobody else in the city gets $40 a month, right? Okay. So now that contract's $7,600, or $7,600 plus a $40 cell phone. It's important to note with all these 4-month contracts, Jing was allowed to work both in the office and remotely. Sound familiar? So now it looks like in early January 2024, someone, being the mayor, council, service director, I don't know who, they were presented with a book from Lakeshore Consulting. This is the book.
Wow.
Okay, this comes from the contract, $40,000. It's entitled New Program Development, Rental Occupancy Permit, Vacant Property Registration. I don't see anything on here that says anything about beautification of downtown.
Nope.
Not a thing. And new program development for $40,000. It looks like we got a book that's supposed to implement rental property registration. I'm not sure what this has to do with downtown. So I looked at the book. It's a whole new section of proposed zoning ordinances, registration and fees for rental properties and vacant land. So I threw this book into ChatGPT. Everybody know what ChatGPT is? AI? Wonderful thing. Hate it. First question I asked ChatGPT. Search the internet to see if this book was copied. The answer? Search results show that there are similar programs in place for the city of Cortland, New York, including rental registration and vacant building ordinance. Then I asked ChatGPT, do the proposed zoning ordinances look copied from anywhere else in Ohio? The answer, similar cities include Cleveland, Cleveland Heights, North Canton, Youngstown, and Columbus. Those are all metropolitan cities with large areas of low income, dilapidated housing, vacant lots, and so forth. Then I asked, what city does Cortland's proposed zoning ordinances most likely resemble? The answer was Youngstown, in their comprehensive approach to both rental and vacant properties. I'm here to say, I don't think the city of Cortland, 6 square miles with 7,000 residents, has anything to do or look like Youngstown, Ohio. To implement a zoning policy that applies to Youngstown, Cleveland, Cleveland Heights, North Canton, Columbus, or the city of Cortland, New York. Now, I don't know where the book came from, but I do know that a smart consultant can use ChatGPT to come up with a book, make blanket changes, create some cover letters, probably in a matter of hours. We paid $40,000. This is something that governments, as well as private individuals, need to be aware of when they hire consultants. This is why they're worried about students in school using ChatGPT to do their letters, their homework assignments. Okay, 40 grand. Professor Radican, I'll bet he knows how to use artificial intelligence. February 5th, council gets ordinance 1024, an emergency, again, in which the mayor now wants to enter into another contract with Lakeshore Strategic Consulting, LLC, to assist occupancy permit and vacant lot registration. So now we're gonna implement the book. Okay? This ordinance is for, guess what? How much?
$47,000.
$47,000, right within that 40,000 line. Mayor now wants to implement, oh, by the way, the ordinance tonight was for how much?
$39,000.
$40,000, right? Seems like to be the trigger number. Council don't ask questions, we, 40 grand, here and there.
I need to interject there. I submitted an email today, where I requested, it may have been yesterday. I have an email internal where I requested, I had some questions, and one of those was talking about competitive bids for the ordinance that was gonna be on the agenda today, and how that pricing would have come to be. So I have questioned that. I was gonna make sure that I go on the record and state.
Okay, well, and then down the road, if that comes to be, that's
Yeah, well,
that's gonna get questioned, right, it does matter. The ordinance, so now we're implementing the book, the ordinance states, whereas it is in the best interest of the city to continue working with the original consulting firm, i.e. Lake Shore, whereas the city chose to work with Lake Shore Strategic Holding and what would strategic consulting in what would be described as phase 1, now this is phase 2. I wanna know, was council misled on Lake Shore's first contract as it was never labeled or described as phase 1 or phase 2 or 3, or what the total cost of this project was going to be, all going to Lake Shore Strategic Consulting? It looks to me more like this was one big continuous contract totaling $87,000 in which the mayor deceptively broke into pieces without disclosing to council or the residents of Cortland what her complete intentions were. Just like Jing's continuous 4-month contracts. Just like tonight with the school building, and now all of a sudden 2 weeks later we got a buyer and we gotta do this. How about finding out the whole picture, guys? Last week we talked at the meeting, we don't have a plan. We have to buy it before we have a plan. We have to get in and look at it. We can't inspect it. It might sit there. It might be a parking lot for the playground. Now 2 weeks later, it's gonna be a developer's low-income apartment complex is my guess. I don't know if we know. If that's the case, what do you think the people that expected that to be a parking lot for the playground are gonna think if we have apartment building there? So it sure be nice to know what the whole plan is, instead of the bits and pieces of the plan, just like these contracts and Jing's contracts and everything that I see here in just a little bit of time I spent, it just seems like we get little crumbs here and here and here and here, and the next thing you know, it builds up to, a couple, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000.
Jerry,
So-
real quick, I just wanna clarify with the building. I based my vote on that building's coming down, not saving anything.
That's fine.
And that's why I just wanted to clarify
That's
that.
fine.
Well, I felt like
Except that
you're.
what was represented to the people and the people arguing, even if it's a parking lot, even if it sits there, we wanna buy it. So there was advocates to spend the money, but nobody knew that there was a developer in the wings and what the plan was
I
gonna be.
think there's some misunderstanding on that, because I think it's the first whereas, is that the first one, Patrick, that mentioned the building, and then the second whereas mentioned the developer. That is for Walnut Run Golf Course.
I don't think so, because it says in the ordinance, where it be ordained, and everything, that's the real part of the ordinance, be ordained that this ordinance, applies to 264 Park Avenue.
Well, I will mention, I had a lot of questions
So,
about this.
there's some questions about the ordinance, but the be ordained part is the actual legal part. Okay?
But I just wanted to clarify, because I felt like there was a indication like that, and I'm just speaking for myself, that we didn't look into this. I took all the information that was provided at the last
I
council
know,
meeting.
and that's what I'm trying to say, you made a decision on what was presented to you,
Assuming that everything
Right.
was cut, the building is.
but like all of this stuff, you made a decision based on what was presented to you, but then 2 weeks later, you get presented something else. If I'm sitting in your position, I wanna know the entire plan, or I'm not voting for any of it. I wanna know the end result. So, I think, my assumption, this was all planned out from the beginning with Lake Shore's first contract. It looks like all the current legislation we're currently dealing with. It looks like the MO of the mayor to play council and the residents with these bits and pieces, if I didn't already say that. May 20th, 2024, a couple months later, Jing's contract is expiring, and council once again is presented with another Jing ordinance. It's in emergency, it's 03024, in which Jing's employment is continued for how long?
4 months.
Now at a rate of $18 an hour plus $40 cell phone allowance, so that's a $2.23 raise. Wouldn't the police department like to get $2.23 raises every 4 months? Or renegotiate your contract every 4 months? Cost of this 4-month contract now jumps to $8,800. Contract expires September 30th. For part-time guy, Jing sure does have a lot of contracts and a lot of raises with the city, and I'll bet all the other city employees would like these 4-month contracts with continual raises with each one, plus reimbursement of their cell phones. Are there city employees in the administration that don't have a contract right now that's expired?
Yes or no?
Why in the hell is all our focus on?
All of them.
All of them, every one of them.
We are at will.
Whose job is that to get those contracts?
Mayor.
Why isn't that done?
It's been almost a year.
Why isn't that done?
Because
She's busy.
But yet we're worried about buying a damn school building
She's busy with the school building.
and hiring Radican.
And JJ,
Okay? August 5th, 2024, 2 months before Jing's most recent 4-month contract expires. 05624, an emergency, whereas Special Projects Coordinator Jing suddenly resigns. He resigns. Effective August 1st, 2024, but does he really? And I know you guys can't follow the dates, but that's why I'm reading it, because it's gonna go into the record.
You're doing an excellent
On
job.
that same day, the very next ordinance is 05724, so he resigns on 05624, now we have 05724. This ordinance in emergency, again, now it's entered a contract with Fuji Lee Strategies LLC for consulting services. And this ordinance also states, whereas the mayor has researched consulting companies and conducted her due diligence in conjunction with professional grant consultants. No, she didn't. As far as I'm concerned, that's a lie on that ordinance. And if you base your vote on what's written in ordinances, you better start looking closer, because they're, I could go so far as to say fraudulent ordinances.
Jerry, let me
So
stop
who
there.
owns that?
We had gone out and had numerous other consulting firms that had promised us a return on their investment. We'll seek grants for you, we will seek, governmental grants. None of those, and I'm not gonna mention those as a public record, I'm not gonna go in and badmouth any of the vendors that we employed. None of them delivered $1.
We need to work on it. I mean, I don't know about those.
Jeffrey and Fuji Lee has brought millions of dollars.
I'm gonna get to that.
Okay.
I'm gonna get to that, okay? And the fact that he brings millions in, if you're paid to do a job, that's your job. I don't get rewarded because I bring millions in, that's my job, that's what I'm paid for. I don't get a bonus, okay? Police department doesn't go out and write a bunch of tickets, you don't write any freaking tickets. They can bring in a whole bunch of money. They wrote tickets, right? Do their officers get bonuses because they go write a bunch of tickets? Well, it's probably, they don't write tickets because they don't get bonuses. Does the fire department get bonuses every time they go on a call? No, that's their job. It doesn't come with a dollar value.
But it's justification of the job.
Go
ahead, keep going, Jerry.
So, the point is, we researched, okay? We didn't research anything. You may have history with some other jobs, but we didn't research it. We're now contracting somebody for a year, okay? And we should have that documentation of we researched all these places and so forth. But nonetheless, it's a pattern that I'm laying. So, guess who Fuji Lee Strategies is? It is Jeffrey Jing. Jeffrey and Fuji.
Oh my God.
Jeffrey and Fuji, just like Radican and Lakeshore, are one and the same. They are an individual. It's not an office with a bunch of people and employees and, a million consultants and a history and everything. It's them, me, myself, and I. When did Fuji Lee Strategies come into existence? May 26, 2023, just a few months after Lakeshore Strategic Consultants did. And, you know, as I start to look, you know, I get tongue-tied because there's something about the word strategies and strategic, and I think I'm laying out what the strategic strategy really was. So in the minutes of August 5th, 2024, the mayor states, I will talk about Ordinance 56 and Ordinance 57 at the same time. This is repealing Jeffrey's contract, so he will no longer be an employee of the city. The second ordinance hires him as a consultant. He will continue to do the same things he has been doing for the city, but as a consultant rather than an employee. I'm here to tell you professionally, this is illegal under federal payroll tax laws. You cannot reclassify an employee as an independent contractor to avoid payroll taxes or to provide some other type of benefit. Okay? IRS rigorously seeks out these schemes for audit. But we can start to see what the strategic scheme playing out here is with these two guys and the mayor. There's no dialogue relating to that ordinance from council in the minutes involving either one of these two ordinances. It is just passed. And again, I'm not, you know, the average person doesn't know a lot of this stuff going on. And I'm not slighting you guys, but it is what it is.
Or we should also say not everything passes unanimous. So through this whole process, we haven't talked about that, so just so we all know.
So I think we finally make it to January 2025 through all of this, and one of the first issues is our current service director is leaving for another job, and we need a new service director, and it just so happens that Sean Radican, or Lakeshore, or whatever you wanna call him, is available to step in and fill that void by Ken Blasco, and he's doing it out of the kindness of his heart. On an interim basis until a full-time service director can be found. So by that statement, until a full-time service director can be found, implies that the interim position is in fact a part-time position, though the ordinance does not spell that out clearly. So January 22nd, 2025, council meeting is presented with 0425 in emergency, establishing the position and wage rate for an interim service director. This ordinance states there is immediate need to fill the position of service director until a full-time service director can be found. Again, implies part-time. And hired permanently. The mayor has reviewed and approved the qualifications and is therefore recommending the services of Sean Radican, not Lakeshore Strategic, but Sean Radican now. Although they are one and the same, serve as interim service director for how long?
4 months.
4 months. And Radican comes to the city with a certain set of skills, don't know what those skills are, that will allow him to operate the service department as an independent contractor who will report to and consult with the mayor. Okay? We came up with a book of zoning. Now we are qualified to run the service department. I don't think the mayor ever looked at any qualifications. She never saw his resume. He never gave her one. That was obvious at the last meeting when we were talking about his qualifications, and I think somebody said something about he's a philosophy teacher, and she said no, and I think a few people kind of looked dumbfounded that they didn't know he was an engineer. Was not an engineer, sorry, or had any engineering experience. Did we know anything about this guy's background? Because I don't think any one of you have ever seen a resume. I don't think one was ever turned in. It became obvious at that time, or last week at the council meeting, that we had never seen any of that, because at some point, or that she had never looked at any of that, because at some point in this continuing relationship, he became her guy. And again, under federal payroll tax laws, you cannot miscategorize an employee as an independent contractor to avoid various employment taxes. And the heading of this ordinance sets the tone, establishing the position and wage rate for interim service director. This isn't a contract for consulting or independent services as other ordinances are. This is an ordinance for an employee we want to pay as an independent contractor. This constitutes tax fraud, guys. And it's black and white. It is.
I don't agree with him, but keep going.
We may have to. Okay. With this ordinance, which expires May 30th, 2025, Radican is to be paid $8,668 a month, equivalent to annual compensation of $104,000.
This is at the point some of us started.
Our previous service director has got to drop a load when she finds out about this stuff. The total Radican will be paid in these 4.5 months is $39,000. What does that sound like? That 40,000 mark again, right? Working in city and remotely, Radican will operate the city service department with full authority as prescribed in the city's charter and codified ordinances. Again, this spells out the position of really that of an employee. And the number one, the very number one rule that IRS and the employment agencies, the states and so forth look at is who exerts control. And if you're telling somebody what to do and you're using their office, their equipment, their desk, their pens, you're telling them when to come, so forth. Now Radican kind of floated what he wants, but he's still responsible to report to the mayor. That's an employee. An independent, I want the walls painted. The independent contractor comes when they want to come, they bring their equipment, they paint the walls, they leave, they give you a bill. You have no control over what they do. May 5th, council gets resolution R2125 establishing the position of economic community development manager. So here we establish a position. I'm unclear on when we establish a position and when we don't establish a position. This brings us back to Radican, but then we jump back to Radican's ordinance 2625 on May 19th, mentioned at the beginning of my statement, at the beginning of this, when the mayor wanted to hire Radican as service director, but as an independent contractor, which again is in a violation of federal laws. And now we're paying him at that contract, which went down, was paying him at an annual rate of $114,960, $115,000. Kim Blasco was degreed as an engineer, left being paid approximately $71,000 plus benefits. By law, benefits are for employees; they're not independent contractors. I'll tell you what, for a couple months, I'd love to get a contract for $40,000. In my business, I could work 4 months and be done the rest of the year. In that meeting, Mayor Petrosky states the resulting search failed and ended up with 0 qualified applicants. You just came up with 15, didn't you?
I would give 15 applicants, I didn't say anything.
Okay, 15. It says 0.
Nobody looked at them.
Okay, this is what she's representing to you guys. Continues. Now, according to section 4.04F of our charter, the authority to appoint and remove department directors lies solely with the mayor, which is why legislation says submitted by the mayor instead of submitted by council. Here's the reality. This is the final scheduled meeting before Sean's contract expires. We are up against the deadline. I will not be presenting any alternative candidates. Sean is the best choice and value for the city. We are paying him a salary. Salaries are paid to employees, not contractors. And not paying him benefits. Well, if she was here, I'd address her. You're reimbursing for the cost of the benefits because you want to pay him $50,000 more than what Kim was making. He's also higher value as compared to our previous service directors. Man, slap them in the face. Again, he's being paid just a salary. She says it again. He's not costing the city any other benefits. He's costing $50,000 more. It's the same thing. This kind of, I know you guys, I mean, this kind of skates past you. You have to know about this stuff to catch this. For most of you, it might.
Yeah, I wanna make sure we always don't just lump everything in together. That's very, very important. Just to know.
When I talk, I say in general.
I know.
I'm not, if I point somebody out, I'm gonna point somebody out.
No, and it's okay. I just always like to make sure that we clear it up, that it's not carte blanche.
Petrosky goes on, I want to be clear about what's at stake. Refusing to confirm this appointment undermines the responsibility I was elected to carry out. I will not continue asking for permission to do the job the people of Cortland elected me to do, to handle the executive and administrative operations of the city. I am not asking for input on this appointment or candidate. This is my decision alone. I am asking you for your confirmation at this point of the appointment, as you are required to do as it is spelled out in the city charter. She's demanding you vote yes. The city, you are the check and balances. You have no responsibility to vote yes or no or anything. You are the check and balance and responsible to the community. To me, this is a turning point in our relationship. I would like to continue to work with council going forward. If council decides not to move forward with this appointment, I want to be transparent. It will impact how we continue to work together moving forward. My willingness to extend professional courtesy has its limits, and I'm not going to go so far as to suggest that if council leaves the city without a city service director, that would border on malfeasance or nonfeasance. That's all I've got to say. So in black and white, the mayor literally threatens council.
Yep.
Pass it or not. If anything, the malfeasance, nonfeasance, whatever, I don't even know what the two of them, how they're differentiated, goes to the mayor for taking 8 months and not looking at resumes. And now within 3 days, we got candidates, holy shit. Fortunately for the city, I guess, the ordinance fails, and by the way, council never created the position of Director of Public Service Independent Contractor by resolution. May 19th, we have to jump back to Jean now. See how there's an interconnection. As Fuji Lee strategic contract, Jeffrey Jing, ordinance 5724 dated August 5th, 24, is about to expire on June 30th. On May 19th, council is presented with ordinance 02725, appointing and setting the wages and benefits and establishing terms for the economic and community development manager that we just created in resolution 2125 and naming, guess who? Jeff James to the position to be effective June 1st. But, wait a minute, and this is the documentation as I can see it. He's still being paid as an independent contractor on his contract as Fuji Lee through June 30th. Council failed the ordinance on that second reading, but if it would have passed, I think it would have been illegal to hire Jeffrey Jing employee when Jeffrey Jing is still contracted as Fuji Lee through the end of June.
I agree with you on that one, that would have been improper.
Is that why it failed?
If the ordinance would have passed, the mayor wanted to pay Jing now $28.70 an hour plus all the benefits available to a city employee. That's equivalent to $60,000 annually plus benefits, which, you know, I want to look at you and say Fran, but I know it's not Fran, it's Patty. Sorry, Patty is probably a package of about $100,000.
Correct.
Okay, so $100,000 package for Jeffrey in 2.5 years. In just 2.5 years, Jing or Fuji Lee or whatever is convenient at the time has worked his way up the ladder in the mayor's administration. For comparison, starting wage of a police officer is $26. EMT firefighter, I think, is about $20. The clerk of council and the assistant finance director are currently not under a contract, $26.66. The administrative assistant, $20.46. Utility administrator, $24. Police finance clerk, $20. Service department labor, $21. The service department superintendent, $28. But the mayor wanted to pay Jing $28.70 an hour. Somehow he's more important than every other general employee in the city. He's almost important as department head. I don't know how the unions feel about that. Whether somebody brings money in or somebody does not get shot, I could give a crap. That's your job. That's what you chose to do. June 2nd, during the June 2nd council meeting, as mentioned, council failed 2725 hiring Jing, but they were also informed at the same time that without council's knowledge, the mayor unilaterally came up with an additional contract for Jing for 15 days
What?
for $3,000.
And we questioned it.
It was questioned. This ran concurrent with the existing contract, which was expiring June 30th. You questioned it, but you couldn't do anything about it because it was already done.
What was that for?
So I don't know, give me $3,000 for 15 days.
Keep them on for next,
Okay.
month or so?
So I don't know what it was. There was some discussion on it. I think Mr. McLean questioned it. I'm not sure. But again, it's too late. It's a done deal. So we slap a contract on top of a contract. We didn't approve his employment contract, so let's send him another $3,000.
She did it on her own.
Okay? Damn, this guy has a lot of contracts. So many, it's damn near impossible to keep track of. Right? So, why do these two guys want to be independent contractors and not employees? Because it's more lucrative for them from a tax standpoint. Independent contract, are you self-employed?
I'm not, I do own, I do have my own LLC, but I'm not self-employed, I work for another company.
Alright, so anyway, you're self-employed, okay, and they're just individuals, it's not a big company, it's not a corporation. LLC is a disregarded entity, so they're a sole proprietor. They get to write off a bunch of expenses, they get to write off their cars, maybe write off their boats, some sort of entertainment, they get to write off their mileage expense, their cell phone, get to write off home and office expenses, depreciate their house, write off their utilities, 20%, this is a big one, under the Trump tax cut back in 2016, 20% of their net business income is not taxable for federal purposes, so I make $1,200,000, is that right? Isn't taxable.
Right.
It's free. And for Ohio, up to $250,000 in business income, self-employed business income, is not taxable. I can make $250,000 and not pay a dime to Ohio. So between 20% federal, 3%, 20% average federal, 3% state, plus all of the expenses and everything, I probably just bonused myself close to 50% by not paying tax on any of this money. This is what's meant, guys, as strategic strategies. The entire scheme is meant to benefit them, not the city and the mayors that facilitate it. So at the last council meeting, there was a lot of discussion about the contract for Radican, when does it expire, et cetera. The mayor stated his current contract as continuing interim service director now expires August 31st, and all this is documented in the minutes. I'm not making it up. There were a lot of questions about council renewing it, and are you gonna renew it, and so forth. So, again, as I stated at the beginning, I start looking for another ordinance for continuing his interim contract, and I found there is none. There is no contract that council voted on. There's no documentation that council was ever presented with approving any continuation of Radican's contract, but now he's getting paid $11,660 a month, equivalent to $140,000 a year, and there's no ordinance that hired him. The only ordinance he was hired with was a rate of $8,668 monthly, equivalent 104, and somehow he gets a $3,000 monthly increase for this latest contract, alleged contract that expires August 31st, for a total of $36,000. Now I want to ask the service department, I want to ask the police department, and I want to ask the fire department. When did you get a $3,000 monthly raise? Take part in your next negotiation.
And those guys protect us.
Remember, back to May 19th, when the mayor stated this is a turning point in our relationship. If council decides not to move forward with this appointment, I want to be transparent. It will impact how we continue to work together moving forward. My willingness to extend professional courtesy has its limits. Well, she meant it. In fact, she planned it. She said, to hell with council. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm the mayor. And she conspired with the law director to twist a provision of our purchasing orders in such a way as to justify continuing Radican services with the city, using a purchase order. Purchase order. I'm not buying Band-Aids. I'm buying a consultant. Okay? In such a way that the purchase order and calling an emergency. So this thing says continued services as an interim service director June 2nd through August 31st. It's an emergency. $5,830, $5,830, 6 bi-monthly payments. And by the way, Patty, that's you. I spoke with Patrick on Monday. Follow up with Patrick to confirm. Ran by the law director. So she gives Radican a $3,000 a month increase from the previous ordinance, creates a purchase order, calling it an emergency, and describes it as continuing services as the interim service director with the dates, lists out an amount of $5,830, 6 bi-monthly payments, even makes an invitation, talk to Patrick. She knows this violates the charter and undermines council's authority to approve or disapprove all expenditures and contracts that exceed $7,500. And this somehow bypasses council's knowledge and authority as stated in the city's charter and codified ordinances. If you want to go back, if you want to call the city charter and the city ordinances, this is where it's at. This is what you guys are here for. Okay? This is another contract with Radican for an additional $35,000. It's not separate purchase orders for $5,800. It's a contract for $35,000 with a $3,000 a month raise that none of you voted on. Not one of you. Now, you might have found out later, you might have questioned it. I understand you asked for the law director's opinion, but you didn't vote on it. If that's not illegal, I don't know what is. So to everyone at the last meeting who questioned if council's going to renew his contract again, there never was a renewed contract. In fact, there is no contract. There's a purchase order. Ordinance 03125, our purchasing procedure states, if an emergency requires the expenditure of funds exceeding $7,500, the mayor shall have the authority to approve such, provided the emergency is of a nature that creates a direct potential threat to the lives and safety of the community. My life wasn't threatened. Anybody life's threatened?
No, now I know
Okay.
why.
All right, so by some elaborate stretch of the imagination, the mayor unilaterally, and with the backing and opinion of the law director, completely bypasses council, basically giving them the middle finger and saying, the hell with you. If the mayor can leverage the law director and do something like this, why in the hell do we need any of you?
Yeah.
What good are you? Examples of emergencies are, the air conditioning breaks and it's 90 degrees outside and it's gonna cost us $10,000 to fix the air conditioning. A water main breaks and threatens flooding homes. I think we had a water main break run for 2 weeks here, didn't we? Yep. Didn't get fixed, brand new. Tornado goes through and the infrastructure is destroyed. We need to spend money right now. Any common sense, and I really use that term loosely anymore, expenditure that must happen now and cannot wait for another meeting of council. An emergency is something I have to do now to get me by until we meet again. It isn't, we're gonna meet 5 more times and I'm gonna run this under the table and the hell with you guys because I'm just gonna do what I wanna do. All these ordinances that come in emergencies, you better start looking at what constitutes a real emergency. And it's not an emergency like life or death. Emergencies bypass 3 readings and take the ability of the public and you, take your ability away to ask questions and investigate. Once it's passed, it's passed. Do you think if a lot of these ordinances went through in 3 readings, you might learn something about it, or the public might say something about it, or come to you and say, hey, this isn't right? That's the purpose of public meetings. The lack of an interim service director to continue her projects does not constitute an emergency as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't threaten the lives and safety of the community. In fact, the emergency, if there was an emergency, was created by going 8 months without looking for a service director. We never had intentions to find a service director. We went 4 months, we did what we want. Last week, things blew up, didn't it? Let's even get to let's stack the deck. We got people's leaving on council. Let's stack the deck and hopefully I'll control council come first of the year and I'll get what I want. I'm sorry some of you guys are leaving.
I appreciate that.
Should stay.
Yes, you should stay.
And he should stay.
The service department has a superintendent and has the ability to deal with, I'm sure, if not most, all actual emergencies. It's only an emergency because the mayor wanted it to be, and because she failed at seeking and presenting a qualified candidate to fill the role of service director. She failed at working with council. By her own words, she stated she wasn't going to work with council any longer if she didn't get her way. If it's an emergency, she created it. Council did not deem it to be emergency, and they disagreed with her choice for the position. Portland's charter is established as a strong council, weak mayor. You oversee and approve everything. The fact that you increased that ordinance from 5,000 to 7,500 was probably not a good idea.
That's why I voted no.
I don't know how the votes went, but I saw that and I'm like, man, that's dangerous. Okay? All these ordinances presented in emergencies are for one reason, to get them passed before council or the community can have time to ask questions. The finance director didn't feel the mayor was doing what the mayor was doing was appropriate by circumventing council, so she requested a written opinion from the law director to cover her ass from any impropriety before cutting any checks. She has her own liability. She just doesn't work here. She just doesn't answer she really answers to council. She works under the mayor, but she answers to you guys. She has her own liability in keeping track of the funds of the city, as we have found out in Vienna. Okay? She could go to jail, prison, theft, everything else, if she doesn't cross her T's and check all her boxes, right? So she's got to ask for an opinion. I asked for that opinion, and my response was that the law director said it was privileged and she can't hand it out. So I want to know what about it needs to be privileged. If there's nothing illegal about how you guys fight, the mayor and the law director finagled the ordinances to help the mayor skirt council for $35,000. Any one of you, if you have the opinion to release it, it's not illegal to break privilege, it just becomes public record. If there's something illegal about it, by all means, don't release it.
Can I say something?
So, yes.
The law director represents me as an employee of the city, so.
Oh, absolutely. The law director is supposed to represent all of you.
Right,
right?
he does, so.
And my opinion went to them as my client. If they decide to release it, that's up to them.
Thank
I'm
you.
not
They
releasing
can release it, so you're not ordered not to release it. If you want to release it, you can. If anyone on council has an opinion, wants to release it for us to know tonight, to see what it says, you can release it. It's not illegal. Now, if I murder somebody and I talk to my attorney, I want attorney-client privilege. I don't want to tell that. But if I go tell you guys, hey, I murdered somebody, guess what? I don't have privilege anymore. I just blurted it out.
The only reason to be keeping it is if you did something illegal.
So, Radican gets $86.68 a month, council turns down an ordinance paying him $95.80 a month, so the mayor goes behind council's back and gives him $11,660 a month. And on top of all this, his hiring, no matter how you want to describe it, violates federal tax law. And to add to this entire convoluted mess tonight, the mayor has the audacity to submit another ordinance, 4525, to hire Lakeshore Strategic Consulting, not Sean Radican, but Lakeshore. Same thing. No difference. Makes it look professional, looks different. For another, how much, guys? 40 grand to deal with the school building we just purchased, of which he was directly involved with presenting the information to council, or didn't present to council, as I think I'm surmising. And if this isn't insider self-dealing, I don't know what the hell is. My guess is that Radican and the mayor knew all along there was a developer interested in the property. The whole ordinance is designed to benefit the developer obtaining the property. None of this was disclosed last meeting, as people talked about it being a parking lot or a playground. You all even stated it might just sit there. Law director stated last meeting, when eminent domain was discussed, we can't take it by eminent domain. You can't even find him to serve him with a lawsuit. And how in the hell did you buy the building? How did you negotiate a price? Yeah, he's in Israel, but he's got a statutory agent, he's got a corporation. We know where he's at, we talked to him, we negotiated with him. That was a lie.
Yep.
So how does everyone feel if the prospect of this property is to build low-income apartment housing? How will you like that next to your playground? You won't have your parking lot? I mean, it's not a good situation, but we've just been backed into a bad situation.
Yeah, not what we thought.
Again, if you're gonna do something, I wanna know from beginning to end. I don't know what you're just gonna do to get to tomorrow. Do you think when we passed the ordinance last week to buy the building, it wasn't already set in stone? Because she saw the white writing on the wall with the service director, that we're gonna hire him to do the consulting on it? To date, these guys, Jing and Radican, have been paid $255,000. Most of that being in the past 2 years. $85,000 to Jing's, $170,000 to Radican, plus the ordinance tonight would have been another 40 grand. Guys, this is called cronyism. Cronyism is corruption. Cronyism is when a government official steers or directs money to a friend, associate, or otherwise. I think I've just laid out a pattern of $255,000 plus what could have been another 40, could be another 40, being funneled to two guys over 2.5 years. 2 years, primarily. First year, Jing had $13,000 in wages. This is nothing but public corruption. If the mayor was here, I would tell her directly, there isn't one employee in the city, besides Jing and Radican, that want to work with her or under her because of this preferential treatment these two guys have gotten. Employees have been bullied not to speak. Employees have been threatened not to come to council meetings. Her own words, she stated she's not working with council any longer. Her recent actions prove it. She's constantly reminding everyone that she's the mayor. She's in charge. My administration. The only administration this mayor has is her, and if you call Radican and Ginny. Everyone else are city employees. They stay. Whether the mayor comes or goes, they stay. They're not appointees that come like the president and leave with the president. So she is the administration. Yet she makes it sound like this is big administration, like posted in this stunt on the social media releasing names of the service director candidates that weren't even interviewed yet. I think that's irresponsible, that you put anybody's names out there until you know specifically you have interviewed them and who you want. That jeopardized the city. Just to keep control from council, maybe not. If you guys submitted some things, it still shouldn't have been released. That was saying, these are my picks, my administration. I'm gonna interview.
Or if they don't do well, let's see what council did. They didn't get us a pick. They didn't get us the right person, because council did this.
Okay.
That's exactly what's going on.
Guys, I'm here to tell you, I mean, when I was here, I fought the battles, but what I see now with the employees, every person in the city, every damn employee in the city cannot stand their job working under this administration.
Absolutely correct.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
Yep.
We're all supposed to work together. Sometimes that's hard. You're supposed to use your own brains, ask your own questions, make your own decisions. The mayor's blatantly shown us
I'll
all.
on the record there, I do that, so
Okay,
I'm not gonna let that
that's
go.
fine. I mean,
You know,
that's
I
fine.
understand that, but
But
we
the-
still have to be able to put that on the record, that I'm not gonna just.
And I'd also mention, there's been many no votes.
Yes.
To a lot of
There
people,
have.
a lot of questions.
That's right.
Okay.
But there was also this back and forth with the service director and the position, and she had it in the minutes that I gave the council the job of coming up with the qualifications, council gave it to Radican to do, and there was this bitch
And that was
session,
not correct.
all back and forth.
She
Well,
sent him in here.
well,
She sent him in here.
it's in the minutes, okay. Well, that's the example I'm saying. Guys, you're supposed, you're gonna have arguments, but you're supposed to work together, and if you don't agree with something, speak your mind, say your piece, vote your will.
I feel like
Okay?
not
And
only
if
were
the
they
mayor-
threatened,
and if-
we have been threatened, like you said, many times, and it was not only in that meeting.
So council's being threatened, okay? I said that. I said, everybody in this city's been threatened.
Yep.
The service department was threatened not to come to a council meeting.
Yep.
What bullshit is that,
That's horrible. Can I say,
okay?
that one meeting, I think it was in May where you had said, that she was no longer going to work with council, I'm putting, I was appalled actually, that was
You should be.
coming out of
Council
the
should have been
mouth,
appalled.
yeah.
That was an appalling statement in black and white. But the follow-up was giving Radican $12,000 a month for another 3 months?
June, July, and August.
3 months without council's approval. They found out about it. They had an opinion, so I assume with the opinion, nobody said anything. That's illegal, guys. You can't use a purchase order to bypass the procurement process under the codified ordinances of Portland.
Shouldn't the law
It's not an
director know that?
emergency.
Well, the law director
You
The
met
law
has
four
done
director
that.
times.
should know that.
He signed it.
4
I
times.
reviewed it, I gave her my opinion.
You
Still,
can,
you
you
should
can
have done
question that opinion. I've questioned multiple opinions. You know, when you go to a court, the attorneys are only right 50% of the time. Somebody loses.
Yep.
It's your job to ask questions. If it doesn't smell right, ask questions. Patty, ask questions.
I asked.
For lying to and deceiving the public, for lying to and deceiving council, for conspiring with the law director to undermine council's authority in order to funnel money to Radican without council's knowledge or approval as laid out in the city charter, for acknowledging publicly, I'm not working with council any further, and literally for being a bully, the mayor should resign immediately.
Yes. 100%.
for lying to the public and to council, for conspiring with the mayor to undermine council's authority in order to funnel money to Radican without council's knowledge or approval is laid out in our city charter. I think the law director should resign immediately.
Yes.
I'm gonna follow up with a park complaint.
Yes.
City law director is charged with representing all city representatives without favor, not one over the other. I think you breached your ethical duty to the city. If there was a question about this, the law director should have came to everyone on council and said, this is what she wants to do. I think it's okay, it's not okay, you guys would have your say. She spent $35,000 of our money out of that 1 million float without your approval. That's a mark against all you guys. Sorry. The finance director should compile the facts and circumstances behind all of the ordinance and payments to Radican that I've just laid out, and Jane, including their alter ego companies, and request an investigation by the Ohio Attorney General's office to look into the practices and preferential treatment given these two guys over the past 2.5 years. I think that is your responsibility. I will be filing a complaint with the Ohio Attorney General's office. And for council members, for enabling this charade, whoever enabled, by sitting there and not questioning a thing, you voted yes on every ordinance, without question. For being a yes man and voting yes for everything the mayor demands, you should immediately resign.
Amen.
And I'm submitting a referral to the IRS for illegal federal tax policies. And if they come in and now the city can take action and amend all those payments, reclassify them as wages, which is what they really are. Issue W-2s instead of 1099s. That fixes it. But IRS goes after this, and I'm gonna let them know. And with that, I'm done.
Excellent job.
Jerry, I just want to give some timeline on some of this.
Right here.
Back when the city did a strategic plan survey, the results came in and a number of things jumped out at us. And again, this was feedback from all the residents. One was blight and unkept properties, zoning maintenance. The other one is community and development of our downtown. Okay. So, the development of the downtown was when we came up with the rental property registration, which would have helped Mr. Matheny if we'd have known the properties, who the renters were.
I disagree with that because the fire department, I believe, has record of every business in town, right? Okay.
Business, but not
It doesn't
property
matter,
owner versus
the
renter.
you know, in that instance, and I'm not trying, I mean, if I'm one of you guys arguing it, in that instance, you had that construction down there, you take the service department, you take a couple guys in the service department, they walk down the street and knock on doors. You don't need a $40,000 ordinance.
I'm saying we're the idea of a rental registration,
But
including the renters that are not business renters, but they're the property, which the fire department and the police department don't know who a residential renter in all of those upstairs.
And I don't believe, the model that you guys are using for doing that is from big metropolitan cities.
Well, I know Niles has a renter's agreement too.
They didn't come up with my search.
We don't have one in place.
Right, we don't have.
We don't have a place, I don't know if they do or not, they did not come up as one of the hits in the
I
search.
talked to them.
Right. Now, I didn't call,
15 years ago.
okay, but Niles,
Yeah.
2.5 times our size, Warren, they have blight and everything.
But that
We
was
are-
something that our residents put on
I
the
don't
survey,
think we
that
need,
people who, their properties are in
Right.
disarray, look at
we
the
have
property up
zone,
there. Yeah.
we have zoning laws. I talked to you about it. You
Yeah.
can drive around. We don't need what ended up being an $87,000 book to implement rental property registration and zoning laws. When we have zoning laws for maintenance and upkeep, we are a small community. The service department drives all day. We are not getting any bigger. In 30 years, we haven't gotten any bigger. You have some houses here, houses there. Now we got a golf course, but essentially, we've been 7,000 people for 30 years. We're not annexing like Niles is annexing, like Warren annexed into Howland and all over the place. okay? We can keep it within the confines and have our people enforce the laws we have without, we blew $47,000 or $87,000 on a whole new set of laws when you have the laws in place.
Well, we also, and Michael will attest to this, we tried to enforce a couple of our zoning ordinances, and it was met with a lot of backlash.
What's the new book gonna do? You're gonna have the same backlash, you're gonna have the same fighting. This book is designed for the east side of, I don't wanna say certain part, but you've got parts of Youngstown, you go down Market Street. We don't have a Market Street in Portland, okay? God, you can.
Thank God we don't have.
You can jump a hop, skip from store to store to store to dollar stores, and, basically you can walk wherever you want around town.
Our zoning ordinances don't have the teeth to them, which is one of the reasons why the zoning needs to be revisited, is because enforcement and penalties.
Then do a line by line so that you can do it.
But that's a brainstorm.
You borrowed
Yeah.
a book
$87,000
from some other
contract.
municipality for an entirely new code section to register rental properties in vacant lots.
How many people in here attended the food truck event? How many did trunk or treat, Christmas tree lighting? Those are all things that came out of the strategic plan.
Fine.
No.
That's where you have a lot
Wait,
of.
who wrote the grant for that?
You guys have the ability to do that. Again,
None of us have time to do that.
The businesses downtown can do
Well,
that.
but that's what Jeffrey was coordinating with all the
You don't
businesses.
need Jeffrey to coordinate that. lady.
We got all that information and everything, Portland.
No one's arguing the strategic plan or the things that are in it or the improvements of the city. What we're arguing is the unethical hiring that you keep doing of the same people, giving them contract after contract with very little to show for it. Our downtown doesn't look any better in the last 2 years.
Wait a minute, 30 years. I've been here 30 years. When
Well,
I
the
sat
2
up
years
here-
of the contract.
When I sat up here, everybody argued about downtown. We have been talking about beautifying downtown for
Since I
30
was 5.
freaking years. And it's not gotten any better. You know what, I don't know what the plans are, but there is no downtown. The bank left downtown.
Yeah.
Your stores, you got stores up here by Huntington Bank. They didn't go downtown, they came up here. All right? You got a house, you got an old building from the 1800s. You got a house, you got a rental property, you got a building, you got an empty building, you got a building that half of it was torn down. My feeling, I don't think there's any hope for a alleged downtown. You don't have restaurants coming in here, you don't have parking, there's nothing to see, there's nothing to walk out and do. How much money are you gonna keep throwing at it? Downtown, now we're gonna have an entertainment center in a parking lot.
That we aren't allowed to know anything about.
How many people are gonna come to that? What are we gonna
That's a
do
park,
there?
it's
Where
not
are
a
they
park.
gonna go when they leave? The Mexican restaurant? The coffee shop that closed across the street? They couldn't even stay open.
Every now and then I do wanna interject just back as well too. The entertainment item in the parking lot on West Main, that isn't anything that we're taking part in. That is a grant through
The community foundation.
the community foundation. So that's not, I always like to make sure we just clarify.
But we did pay for, the city is paying for the engineering for that.
Yeah,
So-
We have
the
400,000
Okay,
in the
so there is a convolution with this grant. You said Jeffrey brought in money, okay? Jeffrey brought in $300,000 for hydrillo. It was a pass-through grant. Doesn't benefit us, doesn't make my life any better, although I do go out on the lake, I don't know what the hell hydrillo is, that lake's a mess anyway.
Also, clarification, did he apply for a grant for that? Or did
I
he apply for a
don't
grant for
know
that?
how it happened, but it was a pass-through that did not
That was a
benefit or
budgeted item
change
through the state,
my
that wasn't
life.
a grant
Well,
that he applied
it's
for.
connections. Jeffrey has those connections. I've seen those
But it
connections.
didn't benefit Portland.
But all of the others, at the
Okay.
bottom of the lake, facilitated that.
That's not Cortland either. You're putting restrooms in Bezetta. That's not us. That's what changed my life.
It's part of the lake, it's part of the downtown to lake initiative that we want to do.
It's a mile down the street. What's somebody gonna do? Walk out of the park and then walk a mile down the hill to go to the restroom? On the lake in a gravel parking lot?
Well, you have to
That's
develop
part
the
of a-
infrastructure before the development comes up. You put it, you don't
Okay,
wait till it's
again-
done before
again, we're doing
improvements, because all of that West Main Street could be developed.
ODNR, the state Army Corps, they needed restrooms down there, not the city of Portland. How that got done, I don't know, it's not our property. The grant, and I'm not sure the exact amount or how much we're getting, but the grant for the parking lot was through the Cortland Community Foundation. We paid Jeffrey to get a grant for the Community Foundation to give back to us. Why didn't the Cortland Community Foundation go get the grant? Who's he working for? And then we got budgeted money from the federal government to build the Tajma City Hall back here that we don't need.
We didn't get money from the federal government, we got it from
We
the
had
state.
2.15 from the
Whatever,
state.
and you
Yeah.
spent it on what?
Engineering,
Consultants,
not.
and we don't
the
have any.
consultants that you've mentioned.
Well, no,
Those are-
but consultants, so now we have
Something to
pictures.
show for it.
We have.
We got a
we
book
have
from
plans.
this guy, and we got plans. And you know what? That building needs to go to the city on a ballot and see if this city really wants to spend that money for it, because it will cost us money. There will be maintenance, there will be out-of-pocket money that we have to spend. And then on the other hand, he's complaining he don't have money. They'll complain they don't have money, the school's gonna complain they don't have money, the service department's not gonna have money.
We need a firehouse.
Our utilities are going up,
And
the
that's what
electric's
that's
going
what
up.
the building is.
Well,
Okay.
$2.3
It's a training
million
center.
could build a building.
The grant money
What
was
are we
for a
waiting
training
for?
center for a fire
It had to be,
It
okay.
had to encompass
It's
the
still-
training center, not
it's
just
still-
a training center.
We are Cortland, 7,000 people, we've been 7,000 people, and we haven't grown essentially a dime. Now, I'm not gonna argue that building. I'm just saying, to your point, if I'm hired to do a job and I'm paid $30 an hour, I do my job. It's not related to a value or what I bring in, that's my job.
Well, your value is indicative of your reimbursement. Obviously, if you're proven and you do a good job, you're worth more.
What are the police and fire worth?
They should be worth a lot.
Worthless, I mean, they're just worth
Okay,
everything.
that's what we say. What are they worth? Apparently they're worth $100,000 each. Okay?
Yeah, they're priceless.
And teachers, let's throw teachers in.
And we keep just growing and growing and growing, and we have that $1 million that floats, or $2 million budget, the general fund, and we keep just spending and spending and spending, and we put it out there, and it's in these little bits and pieces, and you know what, in 30 years, my life hasn't gotten any better. I think but what you and I were gonna talk about, you drive around, there's weeds all over the place. There's weeds on the curbs, you drive down High Street, businesses, weeds growing all over. You're worried about beautifying downtown? How many cars drive downtown versus how many cars that drive High Street or Fowler Street? You go 2 houses down on Fowler Street, you got a house that's completely abandoned and weed grown up. That affects my life.
That's the zoning enforcement, yes.
Not out of this one.
No, I'm just saying in general.
That's our zoning enforcement, that's not this book.
They fired that guy.
That affects,
Yeah.
that affects my life. When I pull in off of Southdale and I see so much weeds grown over curbs that there is no curb, that affects my life, because I pull into Southdale and I say, this really used to look nice. Now it's got a frickin' commercial storage building across from a house with dead arborvitae trees. And I go down the street, and there are no curbs because they're completely covered with weeds.
I know we don't wanna get sidetracked, I'm not stopping you, but I did wanna make a comment on that area, cause I live in that area, and for years, this is just in general, for years I was trying to influence people to say, understand what a service zoning district is, right, cause it's extremely vague. And where that Bulldog storage is, that was a construction that was allowed on that piece of land based on what that zoning was at that time, and forever, I would tell people, hey, this is really important, you should look at what is zone service, because it is important, and a lot of people in that neighborhood, my neighborhood, caught onto that too late. Caught onto that after something's going up and not looking at it well ahead of time.
Too late, but the other thing, and again, I don't wanna get away from what I said.
Yeah.
This is the important part. But we could sit and argue about all of this stuff. I kept my mouth shut for a long time. We could argue about all this stuff. But what's the address on that property? What's the address on that sign for the storage buildings?
State Route 305, something.
Whatever, Sharon Chart, whatever the hell that road is,
Southville.
Where's the entrance for that property?
On Southville.
Why in the hell was the
Residential.
entrance down the street off of into his property as his address states. And you let it go in from a residential
I
street in
think
Portland.
that other, where that, you're talking about where Petrocco's building, the
Yeah.
construction building is, that is a separate parcel, I believe.
He could have had his driveway, he could have laid it out and done his driveway, so he pulled in off of 305 and not off of Cortland's Southdale Drive.
No, we don't, and that might be a county item.
Go ahead, John.
Kevin?
Yeah.
I'd like to go back to some business if I could. I know we had some comments, but
Yeah.
I'm ready to vote on 045-25, which is the agreement with Lakeshore Consulting. So I'd like to make a motion to take 045-25 off the table.
I second the motion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Kathy Fleischer,
No.
This is to take it off.
This is
Take it off.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait, what does this mean, take it off the
Bring it
table?
on.
With
Putting
that
it back
ordinance that was tabled has to be
Okay,
brought
you're
back.
putting it back on.
Back on so they can vote on it, yeah.
Okay, I'm ready to
Thank you,
vote.
clarify, thank you.
okay, we'll start again. Kathy
Yes.
Fleischer, Dick McLean,
Yes.
Don Moore,
Yes.
John Burcheri,
Yes.
Scott Rowley,
Yes.
Jim Bradley,
Yes.
Kevin Pyro.
Yes. All right, so
So we need to make a motion.
yeah, let me
Do it
read the motion into the, and we'll go through the normal process. Ordinance O-45-25, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Lakeshore Strategic Consulting LLC to assist with creation of a TIL and brownfield environmental coordination for the former school building at 264 Park in the city and to provide economic development assistance. This is an emergency submitted by the mayor. We have a motion, please. An ordinance. Have a motion for the,
So moved.
Second.
may I have a, yeah, can I have a motion on the emergency?
So moved. Second.
I think we've had plenty of discussion. Any other discussion from council?
No discussion, I just want to put onto the record that I was planning on voting on this today, and I'm glad to see it's back up. And I did bring 2.5, 3 pages to discuss what a TIF is, what a TIF district is, in the timeline that we found out about this, and the limited amount of time that we had to learn about this, which for me was my entire weekend to make sure that I understood what it was before I voted on it. So I don't think I need to read this into the record now because of what we're going to, because now we're going to be voting on it. But just so everyone knows, I did bring 2.5 pages worth of questions and statements on the
One of the reasons why I asked for a table to begin with, because of those kind of questions.
Kevin, I'll also add, I feel like city council has not even agreed to creating a TIF. There's a lot of discussions that needed to occur before this ordinance even showed up on the agenda.
Any other comments? Okay. Rhonda, can I have a roll call on the emergency, please?
Don Moore,
On the emergency?
On the emergency? Yes.
John Burcheri,
No.
Scott Rowley,
No.
Jim Bradley,
No.
Kathy Fleischer,
No.
Dick McLean,
No.
Kevin Pyro.
No. You were confused.
Hate to go first, don't you?
I know.
You change your vote.
You change your vote.
No, you don't have to.
No, I'm gonna vote
On
no on
record.
the ordinance.
On the emergency.
All right.
I just thought you needed to
Okay.
go forward.
It really doesn't matter.
No, it's a move. May I have a roll call on the ordinance now?
Dick McLean,
No.
Don Moore,
No.
John Burcheri,
No.
Scott Rowley,
No.
Jim Bradley,
No.
Kathy Fleischer,
Nope.
Kevin Pyro.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you for your.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very detailed.
Very
statement with
detailed, very,
timeline.
very well said.
Yes.
All right.
I'll buy one.
Okay, my turn?
Oh, there's more.
Yep.
Yep.
Name and address.
Michael Smith, 353 Saw Avenue.
evening, council members. Many of you may recognize me. I proudly served the city of Portland for the last 10 years, until my termination on July 28, 2025. For 9 years, I worked in our service department before being promoted to Associate Service Director, a position that was created by our previous Service Director, Kim Blasco, and Mayor Petrosky. From the very start, I took on difficult tasks with no training, no guidance. This includes helping lead the city's response to the EPA's lead and copper service line rule and working to secure our first updated zoning map since 2016, a project I completed through constant communication with Trumbull County Planning and Zoning and much needed help with our administration assistant, Christine. On January 6, 2025, then Service Director Kim Blasco notified the mayor that she was leaving for another position elsewhere. At that time, Mrs. Blasco told the mayor that she could stick around for a month or more while they try to find a new service director. But quickly the mayor told her that she could leave sooner because she wanted to bring in the now interim service director, Sean Radican. When Kim Blasco resigned as service director 2 weeks later, Sean Radican was then appointed to the interim service director. From the very beginning, the environment in City Hall changed. Sean admitted to me privately that he didn't need the job or the money, he was just doing a favor for a friend, Mayor Petrosky. And he also said, this money is not putting food on my table. He's not here to listen to this, but it did put food on my table. From that point forward, I repeatedly asked for guidance on complex EPA violations and state purchasing, yet I was left to figure it out on my own. I scheduled important meetings with outside agencies, notifying the mayor and Mr. Radican with well-advanced notices, but they simply did not show up. Most days when Mr. Radican did show up to City Hall, it was constant closed-door meetings and long lunches with the mayor and Jeffrey Jang. Despite these challenges, I stayed committed. I emailed Mr. Radican and the mayor showing my interest in becoming the next service director. And Sean admitted I had the potential, but said I was too young at 41 to be taken seriously. Then when council voted down making him full-time service director in May, I noticed an even more disturbing shift, making City Hall a toxic environment. The mayor stopped coming in during the day and decisions were happening behind closed doors. After Sean's last day on May 31st, I sent the mayor another email expressing my interest in becoming the new service director, reminding her of my 9 years experience in the service department and almost 1 year experience in administration. I never received an email response, a conversation, a phone call, or a text. In fact, I believe the last time I've had an actual conversation with the mayor was the week before council voted 4-3 against Sean becoming the full-time service director. On July 28th, without warning, I was called into a meeting with Mr. Radican and our finance director. I was told that my position was being restructured and that my employment was being terminated immediately. After a decade of loyal service, I wasn't even given the chance to return to the service department, a place I knew well and where I was willing to go back. And let me also note, mine and my family's health insurance was also terminated 2 days later. And I have 2 small children. I ask you this tonight, what was the real reason I was terminated? That's what I thought. Was there truly no room in the service department, or was I removed because I spoke up, asked for transparency, and showed interest in leading? The city deserves better. We cannot have leaders who are rarely present, who ignore staff, and who make decisions behind closed doors, while employees and residents pay the price. If it happened to me, someone with 10 years of dedicated service, it can happen to anyone. Council, I urge you, please keep your eyes open and hold this administration accountable. Cortland deserves fairness, transparency, and leadership that works for the people, not for personal agendas. I had a much longer and much more detailed, and to throw them, as you say, under the bus.
Jerry already did that.
But I'm not that kind of a person. I believe everything happens for a reason. And my reason is not in this city anymore. It actually makes me sick to walk into this building anymore, to see everybody I had such a great relationship. I hope this doesn't happen to anybody else. And if nobody has started a petition to get this mayor removed while I'm off collecting unemployment, maybe I'll start it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Michael.
Joe Chula, 335 Highland House, Cortland Road. Couple questions. Does anybody on this council know why he got fired? Anybody that works in the city?
restructuring.
What's restructuring?
And how can someone who is
On
an
what plan?
interim or consultant, how can they fire someone?
Right. Now, this guy has been a pain in our ass for a long time. And it's time to get rid of him. And I'm agreeing with him. There is gonna be.
For now.
Sean,
We just got rid of them.
okay. I'll agree with him. We'll get a petition signed. We'll get it out there. We want this mayor fired. We want her gone. And the law director.
200 signatures, 25%, and you could take it to the Board of Elections and have a full.
When you come out and approve another $40,000 on a work order, I about fell over. I couldn't believe it. You can't do that. Hey, tell me I'm wrong. I have my own business, LLC. You can't do that. And I'll stand up for you guys. Don't quit. Don't leave. Just because of a mayor. Stay on. You're like, stay on.
I
Make
appreciate
it better.
that. I appreciate that, and I
Yeah,
appreciate
I
everybody
think
who's
Kathy
told
go.
me that over the last several
But this is
weeks, but-
garbage. It's garbage that she thinks she's the president of Cortland.
She's not.
And her husband will not be sitting on that council.
But you guys sit there just like when I asked 2 months ago, was it? Why you voted no? What was your answer? And nobody would say nothing. And then the mayor says, well, he's got qualifications. Well, this gentleman over here just spoke up and said he has no qualifications. But she sat there and said, that's my guy. He's got more qualifications than anybody has on the resumes. And you guys can't say anything? It seems like everybody's afraid of their job now. There's contracts coming up and nothing's done.
We're at will employees.
And we've been told that multiple times.
Our police department needs help. We have general funds. How much? We can help them out.
Well, hopefully we pass this levy and we don't have to use general funds.
Right, but that's why I have signs out there. Support our
Thank you for getting
Cortland
those signs.
police. It's not only me, it's a bunch of other people are tired of it. These guys work overtime because they have to, not because they want to.
We need to pass this police levy.
Yes.
But-
You don't want to.
But now we know that if the levies don't pass, general funds can be used and.
Yeah, but that is not the
Understand
best
that.
option.
But
it's taxpayers' money.
Correct, Pat,
But
I'm gonna defer to the,
It's not ideal.
I'm sure Patty will probably
Patty will-
talk about this, that is not the best
Yeah,
option.
that's not the best option. It
No.
can be used, I answered the question, can it be used for anything? Absolutely. But you need to understand, we do not get property tax money until April. So we have 3 months we have to operate. Not only do we have to operate the general fund, but we help the police department as too. That is roughly $600,000 we have to carry over. Like when I say I wanna carry over $1 million, I wanna carry over $1 million so we have enough to operate the first 3 months. And then there could be an emergency happen. We,
Oh, which is
anything could
understandable,
happen,
but
you know.
out of that
I'd
million,
rather,
but out of that million,
I'd rather
600
use it.
is potentially,
It potentially has to be used at least that first 3 to 4
and you're
months.
obligated to
So-
keep that.
Yeah, so.
well, I don't want it to go to Sean Radigan.
Well, what I'm saying is the general fund can be used for anything, but we have to be careful because we do need to operate those first three months.
Granted, in our times with this woke culture we have, and what's going on, you have no policemen that are willing to step up
of our officers are working, they're working
That's why
themselves
I'm
into the
helping them.
ground.
That's why, and I think everybody in here should dedicate to the policemen, to the city of Cortland Police, to help out, get signs up, talk. You guys, there's a lot of talk on Twitter, Facebook, everything else, but when you talk to somebody that makes a big deal, we're not gonna pay taxes and that, when you talk to them, they have no balls now. But they can get on Facebook and Twitter and talk about our policemen and ruin it. It's, you know,
I think people
it
have
gets
to
me upset.
remember about the police department, you know, they're hardworking,
Yes, they are,
they could all go somewhere else and make a
Yes.
lot more money.
but they decide to stay because they like
I mean,
here.
so
And they want,
we need to
this
keep
is
them.
their community.
We need to keep them.
We need more people like that. We need more
That's why
people
your
like you
Solons-
guys
your
who help
Solons are
out get
stealing-
this passed.
Not only, the Solons and the cities towards Cleveland are not, they're not just stealing from us, they're stealing from everybody in Trumbull
Look
County.
at Florida. Everybody's leaving, they're going to Florida. But our policemen love Portland. We need more like them. And we need help, I need your help to get this thing passed. I'll do everything I can to get this out. We have 30 yard signs out now. We have 6 big signs out now. And it's a lot of people hoping to do this.
Can I get one off you? Want my one off you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody else, just, I'm gonna set it up so everybody knows, let's get them out there. Let's pass this once and all.
Joe, I thank you for your support, for your help, and I understand that the general fund money can be used. When Patty took over as finance director, we did not have $1 million. She has been diligent,
About 300,000.
she has been diligent to build that up. The police department, we need a continuously funded department. We can't rely on general fund money. Eventually, the general fund money dries out.
Exactly.
That,
So it's
in,
very
that
important.
interest is, we're right away right now, but that's, once the interest rates start coming down, our interest is gonna go back to a couple thousand a month.
No, understood. That's why you shouldn't be going to LLC into Sean Radic's company either.
So the general fund
We
cannot
are
sustain us
using that.
long-term. This general fund is to be used, what we use it for, and that's an emergency to help us through the first 3 months of the year, to float us that money. But we need the police levy so that we have some sustainability, because, you know, like somebody just said a second ago, these guys can go anywhere they want. They love Cortland. Our officers are dedicated here.
Right.
They love Cortland. They love the people here. They love the community here. They want to serve here. They choose to serve here. And we want to give them some stability. They don't want the instability of, am I gonna have my job at the end of the year? Am I
We
gonna
don't
have,
wanna, we don't wanna go down Union Falls and bring the sheriff.
You can't
am I
give
gonna
them,
have a backup officer, or are we gonna have to reduce down to 1 officer per turn? We don't wanna do that,
right,
okay? We
Right.
wanna make sure that the safety of the community, there's a reason that Portland residents have a safe community, and that's because our guys go out here every day, and they dedicate a lot of hours. These guys spend a lot of time in overtime. It's not that they're trying to make money. A lot of them, if they were to complain, their complaint would be, they're forced over because we're shorthanded. We
Right,
don't have the
exactly.
part-time staff that we used to have.
exactly.
But we're operating on a levy, from back in the days when we did have part-time staff.
It's bare bones.
So we are doing our best, to provide a great service to the community, and you know what, I've had a lot of people step up and show their support to us, and I thank them for that. I thank you, Joe, I know you've done a lot with these signs. That's all on your own initiative, by the way. Joe wasn't asked to do that, he did that on his own, I appreciate that.
Thank you,
Nope,
Joe.
just trying to
Thank you,
help out. Now, that goes back to the fire department also. How much was a grant for the fire department to build a new firehouse? There was a grant that was given.
2.15,
What are we doing with that money?
we've developed a plan, a set of blueprints. That was gonna be about 12 million, so we went back and we've asked for a smaller one, a smaller footprint.
$2.1 million.
There's still some left.
There's still
We haven't
money.
spent it all.
No, there's
No,
still
but-
money.
Where, I mean, how much did it cost for the prints?
How much have we spent so far?
About 700,000.
700,000 for a set of prints. Where are we putting this
Well, that was,
building? What did
that
you have
was
in
not
mind?
just the prints, that's
Right.
everything.
Yeah, that's,
Right.
yeah.
That's
but-
everything.
Year to
We're-
date, or
we are not-
inception to date.
Where were we gonna put this building? With the set of plans that we have?
Well, I think that's part of the thing. You've seen that we've never passed anything as to what building's getting built, where is the building getting built, none of that. So these are a lot of questions that all of us have already had. Or does that really mean? So, that was how that was left. So that there is none of us could tell you,
Can I get on the
building's
website
going
and
back
find your
there.
set of prints and see what it's about, or can I look at them?
They're not out there.
They're not on the list.
But you
They're
guys do have a
they're
set of
conceptual
plans.
drawings, but that conceptual drawing was for $12 million, which we can't do.
Well, there's the possibility of federal funds.
Well,
No, we still can't do that.
yeah, we still haven't been eliminated from the federal $5.5 million. But with the uncertainty in Washington, we don't
But
know.
have you guys ever walked into the firehouse and see
Oh,
what
many
these
times.
guys have? It's ridiculous. They're outgrown, they have no place.
Right.
for
That's
people.
why the first goal is a new fire station.
Right, but $2.1 million. We should be able to find something.
It doesn't buy you much.
To build one?
No,
At the price of what I'd be able to thought that he's able to, we're not even close to building a building at $2.1 million.
We had a great hope that federal money was gonna come in originally, and they lumped together the administration building, the police department, and came up with a general idea, and that's some of the
Safety
plans.
service complex.
Complex with the training center. But when reality strikes, if the federal money's not gonna come in, the goal still is, we need a fire station. So
Right,
we need to
just
change
a
our
fire
plan.
station by itself,
Right,
not this
exactly.
big addition,
No.
we gotta have this, we gotta have that. 33 point some million dollars.
So speaking with Chief Ray, and what he's always said is, it's time now to get back to kind of a reality base, that this other money's most likely, or having plan B, that we need a building that's capable of taking us into the next 20 or 25 years, space for our apparatus, a bigger staff that we've had since I got hired in '98, and potential staff in the near future. And that would be the goal. And we have ideas on that, but we have no strong plan on that right now, because we have not elected to spend that money out of that state pot to go back for another set of drawings. But we do
But
need a
there
fire station.
is,
The emphasis on that first was a fire station with a training center. But I want to ground us in reality, the training center can be a room this size, not a room the size of a gymnasium.
And the reason why we always talk about a training center is because that is part of the grant.
Yes.
That must be included. Now, like Captain Frank said, a training center is not something that's massive. It's a room.
That was
Right.
on the volunteer fire department.
Yeah, so it's a room that's set up for training. You have to do at least that to be able to use that grant money. All of us up here, I won't speak for everyone,
But
but
isn't there,
all of us want to build a new firehouse, that is for sure.
right, but the plans, how could I see this set of plans that cost $700,000?
You could, it's a public record, I mean, I don't know how you could.
No, I can show you the
Here,
conceptual
yeah.
plan, I can show you something.
But that's not
But
the plan
just
we're
the
gonna use
firehouse.
from.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not,
that's
no,
not-
that's not a firehouse only, that's
I
everything.
already saw those.
That's dream.
Yeah, that's,
There's no firehouse only plan.
I just have a quick question, real quick, and then I go, I'm gonna catch up with Mike about that petition. Do I need to get a permit to start getting signatures?
no.
They don't
You're
consider
not
that,
selling anything.
they don't consider that
No.
solicitation
No.
or anything? Okay, awesome.
Well,
Unless you're gonna sell like
you need to check with
T-bone
the Board of
steaks.
Elections, you're talking about a
No,
recall, which has to go
Yeah,
It
down.
goes through our charter and it goes through the clerk of council.
And I'm taking I thought I had to take it to the board of election. I did, they
She
take
will
20,
handle it.
25%, 200 signatures, right?
25% is the last elector, right?
Last general election.
Last general
Yeah.
election.
So,
As long as you're not gonna sell steaks or anything else when you're doing it.
Just get a few. I promise I won't bribe, just 200
Okay.
signatures. All right.
instant vote is the last
I'm
general
done.
election, I believe. I don't know what.
Yeah, that's voted in the last election, right?
Okay.
Voted in the last election.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, yeah.
Charter's on the same website.
Oh, there you go.
I do have one
So
thing.
I'm gonna
keep it brief.
So I'm gonna.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Name and address, please.
Heather Victor, 91 Fairway Drive. The only thing I would ask is, we have a lot of important things, and we need to stay sort of focused on on the city. I moved back after 32 years because I love Portland. I really do. I hate to see this distraction of Radican. I don't want to talk about it. But they're going to be just fine. They just got hired full-time jobs in another city. I think Portland needs somebody that really will fight for them, for us. I would please ask you to really look into these two, and are they best for Portland? I know some of you may feel loyal to them, and I'm not saying that they're horrible people. I know other people have different opinions, but there is too much conflict of interest. I do global sourcing for a living. I write contracts for a living. I work with legal departments all the time. This may not be illegal, what they're doing. It could be, but the conflict of interest smells, and it's gonna make it hard for you guys to get things passed in the future if you lose the trust of your constituents. That's all.
I think you're right.
Thank you.
You're absolutely right, Heather, thank you.
I think, Heather, when you go look at it too, you look at, when you're speaking about the Mr. Radican or Jeffrey Jang, you go back and look, then also how the votes came out, so where, we're trying to do our due diligence to try to make the best decisions, right? Sometimes that takes longer than what some people would like, or maybe it takes longer, for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, thank you.
But-
Right or wrong,
Yeah,
it's a lot
but I think
of
at the-
meetings have been about
yeah.
this subject, and I think it's taking away from it.
But I think at the end, if we're trying to do the best that we can now, there's a lot to look at moving forward, so, but I thank you for your comments, for sure.
Thank you.
So Jim, did your son not get hired for summer help because you voted no?
My son, I don't know, I
mean,
don't know,
to me, that's what it looks like.
well, I don't know that.
Because I know you and your family personally, you're the ideal family, your sons are hardworking, I see them down at Facilios working, they're hard workers. I would do anything to have that boy working for me.
Well, I very
So
much
I
appreciate
feel
that.
he got blackballed because you stood up against her.
I don't know why my son was not hired for summer help, I don't know. And that is okay, and when that happened, he was the only one of that group that was not hired for summer help, and that was, after that happened, it was okay. I told Sean that's okay, and everyone else, it's okay. Ben lived to fight another day, and he got another job, and it's all right, right? I have great boys, and we have a good family, and I appreciate you saying that. I don't know what happened there, I don't know, but,
That's
so I
something to
think
think
it's best
about.
that we're just trying to move forward now.
Something to think about.
All right.
Everybody done?
Everybody done. All right, I will ask for a motion for
Motion
adjournment.
to adjourn.
So moved. And a roll call, please.
John Terry,
Yes.
Scott Rowley,
Yes.
Tim Bradley.
Yes.
Kathy Fleischer.
Yes.
Dick Hussein.
Yes.
Don Moore.
Yes.
Kevin Tyler.
Yes. Alex, how you doing?
Very nice to meet you. It's my first time.
Okay.
How are you?
Would you be willing to do a quick interview on some of this, just mainly what we're gonna be focusing on? I know there's a lot of topics